Hi, beautiful people across the globe. My name is Oluwajomiloju Ayetolu of the Conversation Show. Thank you for always coming through for me. Thank you for always watching my program. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for everything. In fact, I do not take any of it for granted. Yes, I want to welcome you to another episode of this wonderful conversation show. On this show, we bring to you real people that talks about the truth in the Christendom at large. And on today's episode, we have a notable man of God, a reputable one. Yes, a vibrant man of God in the CNS fold. I wouldn't say much because I want him to introduce himself. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me, Miss Oluwajomiloju.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming.
It's an honor to be here.
So, sir, before we proceed, I would like you to introduce yourself. Tell people watching us about yourself, sir.
All right. I am Daniel Toluwani Jnr. I am a legal practitioner by profession. I'm a prophet by calling, and I'm the president of the Seraph Kingdom Church. I do private practice as well, the law and the prophet legal practice, and I'm also an associate with Shanu and Shanu legal practitioners. I also work for an NGO where we represent inmates for free, and we've been doing that for some years now. I think that's basically it. I have a passion for the Seraph, and we trust Jesus that He is going to revive us again.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, I want to say something.
All right.
Yes, but before I say that thing, I want you to say something about it, sir. So, are you somehow related to Apostle Joshua Kinlade?
Oh yes, Apostle Joshua Kinlade is my spiritual father.
Okay.
And it's been a long time coming. I think I was very young even the first time I knew him. But the least I can, or the earliest I can remember is 2000, 2001.
Wow.
So it's been about over 2 decades knowing him.
Wow.
And he's been a father since then. It's really been a long time.
Thank you so much, sir. So, people watching us out there, there was a time I brought our apostle to this place.
Yeah.
Yes. So, this is the son. The other time we talked about you actually.
Yeah, I thought
yes. Oh, really? So, this is Prophet Daniel that we're talking about when we invited Apostle Joshua Kinlade.
Yeah.
So we invited the father and now the son. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming,
thank
sir.
you.
So, sir, moving forward, we'll be talking about the church and the politics.
Very well.
Yeah. So, how do you biblically? Okay, let me say this first. Could you please share with us your early life as a Christian and how you became a born-again Christian?
Okay, well, thank you very much for that question. My early life as, starting from being the natural man that everybody starts with, I was a good boy, very moral. I didn't really have a very, very rough past like some people would, but at least you just know that there's something missing, in the puzzle. And, the story of how you give your life to Christ and collect it back. So to really start with, I won't really say this is the point where I first gave my life to Christ, but notably when I knew that I intentionally started the Christian journey was a camp. We call it Grace Youth Camp, that we do in the Seraph, in the CNS Movement Church. And that one was in 2008, August 28, 2008. And it was my spiritual father that was ministering in that camp. And then, the Lord started with us on that day, and it's been a journey, one step after the other, one day after the other since then. And there has been, layers of maturity, and God has been faithful. Yeah.
Thank God. So, sir, moving forward, how do you biblically define the boundary between rendering to Caesar and rendering to God in today's political climate as a Christian?
All right. Thank you very much. I have special interest in politics to start with. especially where I just believe, and I'm going to start my answer from there, especially because I have a special interest in it, especially because God has not called me into politics,
Politics.
but
Okay.
I have an interest in it. Like there's an ambition in me that God, would you just release me to do this thing? So few days and all of that. Like so, that has accumulated into a passion that I have for it, and to perhaps disciple those that God has called into it.
Into
So
it.
going to the question of rendering to Caesar what
Caesar,
belongs to
yes.
Caesar and all of that. I believe that there is a place for governmental authorities and there is a place for, God. And although is intertwined, one works with the other
Other.
and all of those things. But particularly, for instance, when you commit a sin, for instance, there's difference between sin and crime. All right. As a legal practitioner as well, when you commit a crime, for instance, maybe you defile a lady, for instance,
Yes.
and then there is a criminal sanction for that, under Caesar in quotes. That's Caesar represents the governing authority, the relevant authority. While God will forgive you your sins as a father if you genuinely believe and you ask for forgiveness. I believe that God will forgive you and He will not punish you for that. But Caesar is going to punish you. Even though, so there are a lot of, like I said, I legally represent inmates, and by God's grace, we also minister the gospel to them. We find out that in fact, we have a record of those that we disciple there, that we believe that God has forgiven them. They are saved. And some of them are even pastors there.
Wow.
Interestingly, they follow some programs that we also follow outside there. But that's Caesar punishing them. That's the government of the day punishing them. But to God, spiritually, they are free. They are liberated. Even in their hearts, they are liberated. So what I'm just basically saying is that there is a place, and the Bible also told us to, respect governmental authorities. Those that are in fact, Bible admonishes us to pray for them and all of those things, and to, it's all part of our spiritual obligation to be government compliant, to follow the laws of the day and be compliant with them. So that's the balance with it, that God as well recognizes this authority and has mandated us as believers to, be submitted to those authorities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So is political participation a spiritual obligation for a Christian, or is it merely an optional civic right?
All right. I'll break that question into two, because being politically participating is in two folds, which is our franchise is that we have right to vote and to be voted for.
Yes.
All right. So in the part of our right to vote, I believe that like I said earlier in the background, that God is part of our spiritual responsibility to participate. So the Bible says that we are the light of the world.
Yes.
The Bible didn't say that we are the light of the church. It said we are the light of the world. It said we are the salt of the earth. All right. So we are meant to, he said we should go ye into the world. So there are plethora of scriptures that talks about how we should participate in the world. In fact, God anointed us, God empowered us to go into the world. That's what God empowered us to do. So a lot of times we see people fall under the anointing and all of that in church. A lot of signs and wonders go in trance, especially in the kind of fold that we are. We see visions, we do all of those things. But, we see men like Daniel in scriptures, men like Joseph, men like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, women like Esther, women like Deborah even. These were practically women that used the anointing in government. All right. So they didn't have a church. They didn't have so and so ministry. Abraham was such a man that on his own, he was a government. He was a nation on its on his own. You understand? Like, so, practically, I believe that, we were not anointed to sit down in church and fall each other down and break chairs. We were anointed to actually penetrate into the cosmos and actually, cause a revolution, cause a change. Of course, there are persons now, the other side of the question now is that there are persons that God has anointed into the fivefold That's the prophet, the pastors, the
Pastors,
evangelists, the
yes.
teachers, and the teachers. All of those things. I actually believe that if God has anointed you or commissioned you to be one of those, I believe that you should stay off the one to be voted for. Basically, because just because of the sentiments that are involved, and maybe we'll still get to that. But practically, I really believe that you can raise men, you can disciple people that would eventually, for instance, Samuel raised David. David was a
Yes.
king, but Samuel never fought for the throne. In Yoruba, they will call them Afobaje.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, there is a place for you. You have your place, and I believe that God has consecrated us into a place, and that was where I started from. That I really wish that I can cross to the other side of the divide and just let's be secular a little, to do political business. But God has called us here, and I believe that so that sentiments will not be involved, we should just stay where we belong. Everybody has their place. Yeah. So, but in the part of the civic responsibility of all of us, in exercising our franchise to vote, I really believe that everybody should participate in that side of the.
But if you belong to those 5 votes of the ministry,
yes. I have a personal result, and you should stay back and raise men, disciple
and
them.
raise men.
Yes, not just stay back though, like raising men.
Be an Afobaje.
Yes, raising men to be a kingmaker. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. You should not fight for the throne. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So, how can Christians view politics as a form of ministry or a tool for societal transformation?
All right. How Christians can view politics
Yes.
as a tool for so like I said, there are mountains of influence, and the mountain of politics is one of those mountains, and we can't really separate spiritual advancement. For instance, well, some people don't believe that there's no one mountain that is greater than the other. But in my knowledge, I believe that we have several mountains: the mountain of economics, sport and entertainment, media, like we are doing now. The mountain of politics, which is one of the things that we are talking about. And some like that. The mountain of religion as well. So, but I believe that the mountain of politics and governance actually regulates a lot of things, if not all of these other mountains. It's important how a law can just come out today, and then we can shut down churches just by making just one law. The legislative can just pass one law today. For instance, COVID era, churches practically were shutting down. They actually even took down some churches right in the middle of service. I remember some of those videos then. Just one law, Trump can say something today and it affects the market, it affects the foreign exchange, a lot of things. The reason why we have the hike in petrol price now, it was just because someone closed a particular street. You understand? Like, so it talks about like how the word of a king is power, is authority. So it's part of ministry to be able to understand this, that if we don't take care of this mountain, a lot of things will go wrong, including our faith. China today, I was seeing something here on Sunday, where they have to, do underground churches, and all of those things. Whether we like it or not, there is an Islamization plan for this country, and we see a Muslim ticket. Someone is not afraid to play that, in politics and all of that. And if we stay back and we just look that, let's just keep praying. There's a part of praying, of course. And for instance, take Moses, Aaron and all was on the mountain. Joshua was fighting in the valley, and there's a synergy. There's a spiritual angle to this politics, of course, definitely. Sorry. Yes. And there is also a secular part where men really needs to stand up and dig dirty into this thing, whether we like it or not. Whether we like it or not, we really need men, we really need believers in that space to do ministry. Politics is part of our spiritual life. In fact, it is our spiritual life. If God has called you to that mountain, God has anointed you for it, I really believe that you should stand up to the challenge and take the game.
Sir, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Should a pastor ever use the pulpit to openly support or oppose a political figure? Why
Right.
or why not?
Yeah, that question as well, I would want to divide it into two. I'll divide my answer into two because there's directly no yes and no answer to that. In the part of supporting a particular candidate, I really believe no, that you should not openly support. And the reason being that man is going to be man for many reasons, actually. Number one is that when you speak as a pastor and God has given you influence and all of that, people, even if you don't say God said, people imply it for you that you are speaking on behalf of God. Yes, you're speaking. Maybe you saw something. I can just say something now and then. It's just my own personal view, personal opinion, and my assessment of the situation, not God involved. But the public don't know how to separate what God said and your personal opinion as a pastor. They mix everything together. Even if you say that this is not God saying it, they still, because you have influence, you have followers and all of that, everybody go in your direction, trusting you. You have the gift of trust, the trust of people. You won their trust in time past. So they believe that the verdict that you are giving now is a sound judgment and all of that. So that's number one. So eventually when you are speaking, people believe that you're speaking the mind of God. And personally, I believe that God is not involved in democracy as a system, because we as human are the ones that initialized democracy. The system of God is theocracy. God chooses leaders, and that's how it was in Judges, in First Samuel. God wants to be the one to appoint and choose the leaders for the people. All right, but we remember how Saul was chosen. It was that the people came to meet Samuel that we don't want you anymore. We want to have kings like other nations, and then Samuel had to turn back to God, and God told him that it is not me, it is not you that they have rejected. They've actually rejected me. All right. So the system of God was not for them to have a king, it was for them to have a judge. All right. Someone that is appointed by God and receives direction from God to actually rule them. And I believe that position still stands. Is also monarchical in nature of some sort. But to leave that, like I said, democracy is man initiated, is man made, and then, however, it does not mean I'm saying that Christians should run away from democracy. It still has to be balanced. That now that is what is ruling, that's what is in the affair, we can still turn that system back to God, because it's still the mountain of. So God can appoint a man as king, just like he appointed David, but he was without a throne for a number of years, and then eventually he still came there. All right, so God can appoint a man, and then he has a choice when he gets there, because we have a free will. He can still get there and mess up. Now that as a minister of the gospel, I've used my trust and my influence to confirm you, and then people trusted you, because we are humans. Even the man of God himself would make mistakes or can make mistakes. So someone that maybe I said, okay, vote XYZ in the coming election, and then everybody voted him, and then 2 years into the office he began to mess up. He began to misbehave, and all of that. Not really because God didn't speak, even if he had spoken, but because man has a free will, he can mess up in the long run and all of that. So because of their integrity, I would not say they should directly use their office or their ministry sorry, as to confirm somebody, but at the same time they can tell the people what to do. They can tell them what to look out for. They can impliedly refer to the person. That's the highest that I believe that we should do as ministers of the gospel. You can impliedly say it, but don't be too direct in the in the concept of mentioning names, and all of those things. I just believe that you can tell us, okay, these are the qualities I believe you should watch out for. What are the track records, and all of those things. And let the people have the free will, and the discernment to choose what they need to do. And then you can also influence them to vote, and all of those things. So I believe that should be the idea. In the part of using your office to reject the other side of the question, the other half of the question, I believe, yes, if it's the government of the day, we can actually use our office to speak against an influence, to speak against whatever the government is doing wrong. As an individual, as a civilian, I have the right to protest. I have the right to express my mind according to what's happening in the government of the day. We should challenge them, if they are not doing the right thing and all of that. And I believe everyone should, including ministers, because it is when people don't naturally want to do the right thing if you don't mount pressure on them. So someone can get there and lose focus. So when we use our office and influence, someone on the grassroots may not have that influence. So when we use our mic to, we have the volume, and I believe that we can cause a change.
Thank you, sir. I want to say something, but I don't want to go there.
Okay.
Because if I go there, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So let me move to the next question. Sorry, sir.
Thank you, sir.
How can the church effectively address issues like corruption, economic inequality, and bad governance without being labeled as politically motivated?
Yeah, well, I said it before. It's wisdom when is it ministers or
church?
The church. Okay, the church generally. Well, like I said, if we are talking about the church, I would talk about maybe the ministers then, since they are the mouthpiece of the church. All right. So I believe that we can challenge the government of the day. We have the right to hold them responsible. For instance, we see the Christian genocide happening in the northern part of this country, and as an executive, or maybe the Christian Association of Nigeria, for instance, I don't think we should keep quiet about that. I believe that, in fact, you are our representatives, and I think we should speak. We've seen the youth wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria doing that, and a lot of applause to them. And I think that they shouldn't stop. They should keep doing that, because you are advocating for the people. As much as we are praying, we are talking about lives being lost here. We should still be vocal about it. We should still not keep quiet. We should still hold the government of the day responsible. The government has a responsibility, and they are bound by the Constitution to fulfill that responsibility. That's why they are voted into power. They are being paid with our tax money, and all of those things. So we should hold them responsible, especially when it concerns Christians. Especially when it concerns not just Christians, but the lives of Christians. It's not just about our faith, it's about our lives. And in fact, it's not even about lives, Christian life. It's about life. Whether Christian, whether Muslim, whether atheist, whether traditionalist, as long as lives are involved, I don't think that we should even keep quiet at all. Not to talk more of Christian lives now being, people just being slaughtered anyhow, being bombed anyhow, and all of that, being kidnapped. It's not something that we should just sit back and do. Currently, as we speak, maybe 48 plus persons are still in the bush, unknown, in this rainy season, without shelter somewhere, not being well fed, exposed to wild animals of some sort. It's something that bitters me personally, and I don't think we should keep quiet about that. Whether they say we are politically motivated or not, it is what we must do. I think the part where people would not be able to say we are being politically motivated is that you are not supporting someone else. Like I said, there is no public affirmation of any other person. You're just challenging the government of the day. Do what is right. And it's not like I'm saying that maybe one XYZ is the one that is doing what is right. No, let me challenge the one that is doing what is wrong. We need to challenge those ones and hold them responsible for what they should do, and of course, we should also be accountable. We should be transparent. We've not received anything. Let's be vocal about it. And I like some ministers when they mention that they have actually not, received anything from any government.
Yes.
If I would mention him, I would be mentioning somebody like Bishop David
Yes.
Pastor Paul Ineche. These people would vocally tell you publicly that they have not received a dime from any government of the world. So, or any politician, they will tell you they owe nobody, and all of those things. Yeah, so they are free to talk.
Yes.
Don't also do what would compromise you. Stand for what you believe and do challenge the government on what they need to do until they do it. And don't let your hands be clean. If that comes to equity, must come with clean hands.
Thank you so much, sir. But with everything that is currently happening nationwide now, I mean the kidnapping and everything.
Very well.
So some people tend to believe that protesting would actually endanger our lives more. So they feel like prayer is the only thing that can put a stop to that thing. How true is that, sir?
Well,
so we need, what people want us to do is that we need to just sit back and pray in our closets, pray in churches, pray in Kineko. Is prayer enough to solve those things?
I would never underwash prayer, the effect of prayer. I believe in prayer 100%. All right. And I used to say that it has to be prayer. It might be prayer and something else, but at the base of everything is actually prayer. So I would not underrule the fact that we have to pray. It's important we pray. Prayer is at the base of everything. But at the same time, prayer alone will not get us the results that we are looking for. I'll take Esther for an example. Esther prayed, fasted, 40 days thereabout, and even told the people to pray for her. But apart from that, she also went ahead to still risk her life. It's like the scenario of the day. We found people, suffering in a dynasty, and then she felt, no, this cannot continue. Mordecai had to tell her, God has placed you in this position for a time like this. So she had to take the risk. She was going to die anyways, you understand? Like, so she said, if I perish, I perish. You understand? And that was the model, So is it risky to protest at this time under our government? Yes, it is. We saw what happened in NSAS in October 2020. Nothing to really write home about. People are really scared of protesting and all of that, which they have valid reasons for and all of that. But I believe that we can still have it coordinated, protesting, like I said, prayer alone may not get us the result that we are looking for. But beyond protesting, I really believe that the real way to go is to vote these guys, that are not, behaving well out of power. That's the real thing. And the excuse will always be that our vote does not count. I voted in the last election. And I voted in the last election, didn't get my polling units, in my polling unit he won. The person that I voted for, but ultimately, federal level he didn't win. Of course, even in Lagos he won. You understand? Like, so it's interesting to be part of it. But at the same time, I would say that as much as we want to pray, we should also take steps. Some of those steps, I believe, is advocating for our fundamental human rights, which is protected under the Constitution of 1999 as amended. Is something that we should do. One of those ways is to protest. One of those ways is to sue them to court for that enforcement. Another thing I feel we should do is to exercise our franchise. Let's register. Let's vote. Let's leave the part of our vote does not count first. Let's first leave that out. It can be one man against all of us, and it's not logical that one man or few people, no matter who is in government, they are still not up to 0.1% of all of us in the country. That's the clear truth. And if everybody can orient their families correctly, everyone can orient their churches correctly. Everybody can, and orient them and say, you don't sell your votes, and all of those
Yes.
things. And if we can do the work at the grassroots, and also I think there is a lot of amendments that we also need to lobby for. For instance, is the instant transmission of election results. It doesn't need to get to Abuja before it actually gets there. We are voting electronically, so the votes can be collated in that polling unit center and transmitted there. That's a major gap in our electoral act as we speak. It's a very major gap that we can transmit. The country has the resources. Billions are being pushed into elections every to INEC. So why can't we? That's what is being done in almost all even underdeveloped countries of the world. Let's have instant transmission of election results, because it is in the gap between the after we finish voting to the collation. That's where all of this stops happening. If we can bridge, the day we bridge that gap is the day of our deliverance, when we can really enforce. But the Senate, the National Assembly, would not want to pass that kind of thing into law, because they know that, as you are, let everybody know what we collected and transmit it immediately to Abuja, and let's see who is going to read the election that way. But it's something that is a gap that they are deliberately leaving open.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, I love the response. Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, how can a Christian politician remain faithful to their convictions when loyal party demands a compromise on their faith?
Okay, that's another very dicey question, believe me. And it's not just a Christian politician, if we start with. It also talks about civil service generally. Apart from civil service, even we as civilians, relating with civil service, I'm a minister in the court, so sometimes you even just want to file something, the civil servants are asking you to drop something, and all of that. Like, so even us, as civilians, it affects us. Now talk more of, for instance, I have a dear daughter of mine who is just secondary school, public secondary school. So when they want to sign in, I mean the attendance and all of that, people come late, and then they will still write. Maybe you came maybe like 8:10, for instance, you're going to be writing about 6:05, so that everybody that is coming behind you can also have, even though they came late, someone come by 10 o'clock and still be writing 7:30. You understand? And so the loophole is generally there, and it's not just in Nigeria, it's in all the countries of the world. There are corruption. There's corruption everywhere. It's all over the world. You understand? Like, there's nobody, or there's no government rather, that is free from it. There's no system that is free from it. It's just that it's well managed in some places than the other. Some places are more transparent than the other, and all of those things. And you can be caught in some places if you are not, smart enough, and all of those things. So, even in the grassroots of the civil service. So now to drive it down to, politics and all of that. Well, I believe that, like I said, there are men that God has, appointed for this, and God has called them particularly into that space. First of all, we need to find out where God has called us. And like I said initially, there is a need, because they alone cannot do these things. I mean, as a standalone, me, as, for instance, I'm a politician, I need my demography, like maybe the Christians and all of that, to be part of what we are doing. We need to unite. I think unity is a force that can achieve this result that we want. I've as a legal practitioner, I've sent a lot of, let me say a lot. I know two that have sent packing out of their police uniforms.
Wow.
And then they'll be asking me for bribe, and I'll just record them and then send it to Abuja. And I've known two like that.
Wow.
I've, the third one got demoted.
Wow.
So if we don't hold these people by the neck, and really find out that, this guy's main business and they are coming for war and all of that. So practically my faces are in places like Alagbon, and all of that. So they don't even always want to, try to tell me, oh yeah, I'll bring
Drink
something or
something.
something. They know that this guy, they just know that this guy is going, he might have a plan under his, sleeves and all of those things. So if we know what we are doing, we have the knowledge, we go
Yes.
for it, we go for what we want. We might not achieve the result immediately. It might be slow,
Yes.
but it's going to
But
be
at
steady.
least, yes.
And if we have the support of our own, demography, the Christians,
Christians.
particularly, we should have institutions, political parties that are Christianized, that are Christian influenced, that our standards are clear and all of that. It's going to, it might not immediately, those seeds might not immediately find expression.
Yes.
But I know some of them, though, that are coming up and all of those things. And I believe that very soon we'll have some of those people that, we are just going to come together and just say, okay, this is just this one person. Our votes will not break. One of the strategies that politicians use, is something that I've understudied a lot, is that they want to break the votes. You understand, of so that they have one person and everybody is going to for that one person, but you have like three other Christian candidates that you have. So as a Christian, our votes has already broken into like 3 or 4. But they have just one candidate that they are pushing and everybody's supporting them. So we need to create that kind of institution as well. The Bible says that we should be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we are almost rounding up because I don't want to take much of your time.
No problem.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, how should the church support its members who are entering the high pressure world of secular politics?
Okay, I think I've answered that question with technically with what I said earlier. The support that we should give is a lot, including financial support. I believe that we should support in all areas. We need all the influences that we can get. We need all the support that we can get. We need. It's not just going to be about voting and not voting and all of that. We need men in the judiciary. We need men and a lot of times we focus on the executives a lot, And I really believe that the problem of this country politically, when it comes to government, is actually the legislative arm. Literally, the legislative is so powerful. The National Assembly is so powerful that they can unseat the president in just one sitting. Like that's how much power that they have. So but a lot of people are just concerned about the president. If the president is not doing the right thing, even in the United States today, it's just a vote, of no confidence, and then he's out of power that day. Do you understand? Like, so I believe the Senate, or let me put it together as the Senate and the House of Representatives, which makes the National Assembly, has the power, to coordinate things, very properly. And until we begin to stylishly, we should start from, we might not be able to get into the executive, and, just like that. God helping us, it's possible. But I really believe that we should start by slotting men into the National Assembly, the House of Rep, the House of Senate. Let's have the numbers in that place, and then if the government of the day is not doing well, of course it's not as easy as well, but gradually we can form that coalition, and then it begins to grow, and then we have people that Christ minded in those spaces, and then they can actually enforce the right thing. They can summon the president, and then, okay, come and explain how you spend so and so money. Something that we can't do as mere civilians. The Senate can do it. The House of Representatives can do it. So I think we should start from there. We should start from the Senate. We could also start from the judiciary, even though perhaps that needs some qualifications for you to be judge and all of those things. But the Senate does not need any qualification. It just needs the vote of the people to get them there. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, what is your approach to holding Christian politicians accountable once they are in the office?
everybody should be held accountable. It's a public office. Muslims should hold them responsible. Christians should hold them responsible. I know we have, a past vice president that everybody used to drag, and all of that. He's a boss in the profession as well. He's a senior advocate, and I believe that, once people don't do the right, like I said, um, if you leave me alone, for instance, and you leave me to the frolic of myself, I can do and undo. That's why we put ourselves deliberately under authority. You mentioned something about spiritual fatherhood the other time.
Yes.
Nobody has put a gun in my neck to submit. You understand?
Yes.
So, but we are deliberately putting ourselves under these systems so that we can be checked. You understand? That's why even in government, even in democracy, there's what we call check and balances. There should be someone checking you, no matter who you are and all of that, to make sure that you are doing the right thing. Because it's not because you are a bad person. It's just because that's how, if they say that, murder is not a crime, it's no longer a crime, for instance, you won't believe how many people will die today. Because there's no law that is guiding that. So somebody will just step on your toes as you are going outside now, and then you just bring out your, pistol, and then give him one shot in the head, just because you are angry. But now, because you know that there is a law, no matter how angry you are, you coordinate yourself, you regulate yourself that even though I'm very angry, maybe the best I'll do is just to but you would not still kill anybody because you are angry or because they did something wrong to you. It's the system, it's the law. You have to be checked. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, everyone holding a public office should be checked, whether voted in or not. Once you are holding a public office is a trust of the people, and you are representing them, and you must serve their interest. So, we must really hold them accountable. Christians must hold Christian politicians accountable. Every civilian must hold them accountable for what they do and what they don't do.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really, really grateful. I know that people watching us out there, I know one way or the other they've learned something. So, so before we go, I would just like you to give a word of advice to Christian brothers, sisters that are into politics. I know most people go to school to study political science and everything because they want to join the politics, they want to do this, they want to do that. So I just, and before we proceeded in this session, you said whoever that is holding on to these 5 foot of the ministry should just stay back. Whereas we have our sisters, our brothers that also go into politics. They really want to. So I just want you to give them a word of advice. I mean, to those into politics or those that are aspiring to go into politics.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Sorry, sir. Most people tend to believe that once you are going into politics, you are going to play a dirty game there.
Yes, actually.
So it takes the grace of God to remain fervent, to still be loyal the way you are when you've not joined. Because I could remember when one of our pastor, I don't want to mention name, when he became the vice president, then people would be like, "Shebi pastor, they were there. Shebi pastor look right. Shebi kiniko." So I just want you to advise them, people going there and people that are there already, because it is not an easy task. You are going there to face something. There are some things that you will not want to resist. So it takes the grace of God. So I just wanted to say a word of advice to all of them, those that are there and those that are still aspiring to join the politics.
All right, thank you very much. Before I go into the advice, I must also say, let me just say that about politics being a dirty game. Actually, it is. And there's no how you are going to get into it that you might not get stained, you might not get dirty. Because it's like digging. You understand? Like if you're wearing white like I am wearing now, there's no how you're going to do it. Somehow, you are going to get stained. You're going to get dirty. You will get dirty in the long run. People, throw you with things that are not your own,
Own.
you know, and all of those things. They will dig into your past. You know, so you must really be ready to fight. You must really be ready to fight dirty. You know, so that's the first thing, that you must make up your mind to even fight dirty. It's not going to be easy. Well, there's no work that is easy.
Yes.
You know, but at the same time, this is really something very sensitive. Like I said, that it controls almost everything. It controls almost everything, even media. I remember at a time the government even shut down, our Nigerian government shut down our access to Twitter or something.
Yes,
You know, at a point, even Facebook at some. I think, you know, when there were some outrages on social media, that's how powerful the government is. You know, the government of the day can literally tell us not to go out tomorrow, and it stands. You know, they can declare a state of emergency, even for no reason. You know, if maybe the governor or the president is not just happy or woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you know, it could just make, you know, that kind of decision. But nevertheless, to our brothers that and sisters that God has or that has an aspiration into politics, first of all, I would advise that don't be ambitious. As much as we want to cause a change, we want to cause a revolution. Like I said, every one of us has our place. And the reason why I'm here today is because I know my place. In as much as I know also that I think I will do well, you know, even though I'm not called into it. I think I'll do well as a politician. I just have that knowledge that I think I'll do well as a politician. I can talk, you know, and I think I have that grace to influence others, to convince them to be on my side, you know, and all of those things. But at the same time, that's not enough.
Yes.
I believe that just the same way we are called into the fivefold ministry, I also believe that politics is a calling. You know, that God has to call you into it so that you have the guts for it. You know, make sure you are set, you know, into it. Make sure it's something you've received a direction from God and a lead from God to proceed with. Number two is you really need to give yourself to wisdom. You know, wisdom is the principal thing. The vice president you're talking about, like I said, is a boss in the line. So by one reason or the other, we've had one or two chances to meet before. He is a boss to my boss, that kind of thing, you know. So based on that opportunity, you know, and hearing him say some things, I know that it's not just about like I said, it's not just a one-man thing. You know, there are some people right now in politics that really want to do well. They want to do the right thing. They want to do it right. They have, you know, the mind of Christ and all of those things, but they can't do it alone. As much as I'm not approving of the government of the day in the executive, at the same time, I also know that it's not a one-man show. It's, you know, if you as the president, for instance, you're doing it correctly, you can't oversee it. It's a nation. You can't oversee everything. So we really need men in the grassroots. Let's start from local government council.
Yes.
Let's start from chairman. Let's start from public office holders, the civil service people in the ministry, you know, and all of those things. Let's start, you know, first from there. You know, at this another thing apart from wisdom that I would say is that let's also build the portfolio. You know, apart from Christians, we need more than Christians to actually put their trust. And I like the way everything is shifting already. Now it's going beyond tribe, it's going beyond religion, it's going beyond your skin color. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to the next election, you know, God willing, and if Jesus tarries, I really believe that it's really going to be one time to look out for. It's a good time to be alive in this country. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, let me start from thank you for coming. Thank you for sitting down. Thank you for giving us a swift response, because it is not easy. Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, before you go, we have a little token for you. Please just manage it for us. So, on behalf of the CEO of the Seraph Television and the pioneers of the Vineyard Media. These are the people behind the camera and everybody. So we're told to give you this little package.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Seraph Media. Thank you. I really appreciate Vineyard Media. The Lord bless you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So, to all our viewers at home, I believe you've learned something. There are some things that you don't know. I know one way or the other you've got to know them now. Like I always say something on this show. I used to tell you that whoever we bring to this table, you get to learn something, you get to unlearn, and you get to relearn from them. Yes. So they get to tell you the truth because they are men of God and women of God. They will not lie to you. You know now, you know, they won't lie to you. There are people that will tell you, what they tell you is the truth and is the fact. So thank you so much for always coming through for me. Thank you for always following my show. Thank you for the comments, the likes, and everything. Thank you for following me everywhere on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Thank you so much. You know, I do not take any of it for granted. God bless you in Jesus' name. Thank you. So, till we meet another time, my name still remains Oluwajomiloju Ayetolu. Do not forget. So thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye.